The bell was silver, small enough to fit in a child's hand, with a clear, sharp ring that cut through conversation like a knife. My nephew Oliver rang it 3 times as I passed behind his chair, carrying my water glass to refill it at the sideboard. The formal dining room at Ashford Manor, the 32-room estate I'd inherited from my grandmother 5 years ago, fell silent. "Servants must come when called," Oliver announced, loud enough for all 18 dinner guests to hear. He was 12 years old, sitting at my sister Heather's right hand, wearing a suit jacket that probably cost more than most people's monthly rent. I stopped walking and looked at him, then at Heather, who was smiling into her wine glass. "Oliver, where did you learn that?" I asked quietly. "Mom taught me. She said that's how proper households work. When you ring the bell, the servants come. That's the rule." The dining room erupted in laughter. Uncle Marcus slapped the table. My cousin Jennifer covered her mouth, but her shoulders shook. Even my mother, seated at the far end of the table in the chair my grandmother had occupied for 40 years, was smiling. Heather reached over and patted Oliver's hand. "Well, technically that's true, sweetie, but Aunt Diana is family, not staff." "But you said." "I know what I said. Just maybe don't ring the bell if family members." She glanced at me, still smiling. Though Diana has always been good at serving others, it's probably the only thing she's actually good at. More laughter. I looked around the table at my extended family, 17 people who thought they were dining in my sister's mansion, who believed Heather had inherited Ashford Manor from our grandmother, who had no idea that I'd been the sole beneficiary of grandmother's entire estate. I set my water glass down on the sideboard, walked to the foyer, collected my coat, and left without saying a word. Behind me, I heard Uncle Marcus say, "Well, that was dramatic," followed by fresh rounds of laughter. I sat in my car for a moment, hands steady on the wheel. Through the lit windows of the dining room, I could see the dinner party continuing. Heather was standing now, probably telling some story. Everyone was laughing. I drove to my actual home, a comfortable townhouse 20 minutes away, and sat in my home office, looking at the file cabinet where I kept all the property documents for my various holdings. Ashford Manor was the crown jewel, a historic estate on 40 acres, purchased by my great-grandfather in 1923, worth approximately $8.5 million in current market value. My grandmother had left it to me with explicit instructions in her will. "Diana has always understood the true value of family and home. She will protect Ashford Manor as I did." Heather had been furious when the will was read. She'd expected to inherit the estate. She'd always been grandmother's social granddaughter, the one who attended charity galas and garden parties. She'd assumed that translated to inheritance. When she learned I'd inherited everything, she'd been devastated. Until I made her an offer. Live at Ashford Manor rent-free. Maintain it. Enjoy it. I didn't need the space. I preferred my townhouse, and I wanted the manor occupied and cared for. "Really?" she'd said, her eyes lighting up. "I can live there?" "As long as you want. It's our family home. You should be able to enjoy it." She'd moved in within a month. That was 4 years ago. Over time, she'd apparently convinced herself and everyone else that she owned it. She hosted charity dinners, garden parties, holiday gatherings. She told people my estate and my manor, and no one, including me, had corrected her. Until tonight, when her 12-year-old son rang a silver bell at me and announced that servants must come when called. At 9:34 p.m., my phone buzzed. "Heather, learn respect." 2 words. Not "I'm sorry Oliver was rude." Not "that was inappropriate." Just a command. Learn respect. From a woman living in my house, hosting dinners with my furniture, maintaining her social status using my property. It typed back, "Check your mail." Then I called my attorney. "Patricia, it's Diana. I need an eviction notice prepared for Ashford Manor, tonight. I want it delivered by courier within 3 hours." "Diana, that's your sister. Are you sure about this?" She taught her 12-year-old son to ring a servant bell at me, in my own dining room, then texted me to learn respect. "Yes, I'm sure." She has no formal lease? She's been living there as my guest for 4 years. No rent, no lease agreement, nothing in writing. Then legally she's a guest who's overstayed. I can have the notice ready in an hour. But Diana, without a lease, eviction timelines vary. In this state, you'll need to give her at least 30 days. I know, but I want her to receive the notice tonight. I want her to wake up tomorrow knowing that her time at Ashford Manor is over. I'll have a courier there by midnight. At 11:47 p.m., I received a text from the courier service. Document delivered to Heather Morrison at Ashford Manor. Signed for by recipient. 3 minutes later, my phone rang. Heather. I let it ring through to voicemail. She called again. Again. By midnight, she called 9 times. At 12:14 a.m., a text. What the hell is this notice? I replied, exactly what it says. You have 30 days to vacate Ashford Manor. Heather. This is a joke. You can't evict me from my own house. Me. It's not your house. It's mine. Grandmother left it to me. You've been living there as my guest. Heather. That's not true. You said I could live here as long as I wanted. Me? I did. And now I'm revoking that invitation. You have 30 days. Heather. Because Oliver rang the stupid bell? You're kicking me out over that? Me. Because you taught your son to ring a bell at me and announce that servants must come when called, in my own home, then texted me to learn respect afterward. Yes, that's exactly why. 3 minutes of silence. Then, Diana, please. This is my home. Oliver goes to school here. I host charity events here. Everyone thinks this is my house. Me? Everyone thinks it's your house because you told them it was. You've been performing wealth and status using my property for 4 years. That ends in 30 days. Heather. Where am I supposed to go? Me? I don't know. But you have a month to figure it out. And Heather? You might want to start by teaching Oliver that not everyone is his servant. I turned off my phone and went to bed. The next morning, my mother called at 7:15 a.m. Diana, what on earth is going on? Heather called me hysterical at 2 in the morning saying you're evicting her from Ashford Manor. That's correct. You can't be serious. That's Heather's home. No, Mom, it's my home. Grandmother left it to me. Heather has been living there as my guest. Silence. But Heather said grandmother left it to her. Heather lied. The will was very clear. I inherited the estate. I allowed Heather to live there because I thought she'd appreciate it and care for it properly. Then why are you evicting her now? I told her about the dinner, about Oliver ringing the bell, about servants must come when called, about Heather's text telling me to learn respect. Mom was quiet for a long moment. Oliver rang a bell at you? Yes, like I was a servant, in my own dining room, while 17 people laughed. And Heather just smiled and told everyone I'm good at serving others. It's all I'm good at, apparently. Oh, Diana. I've let Heather live in an $8.5 million estate rent-free for 4 years. I've paid the property taxes, the insurance, the maintenance costs. I've never asked her for a penny, and she taught her son to ring a bell at me. What do you want me to say? I don't want you to say anything. I'm calling to let you know that Heather has 30 days to vacate. After that, I'm putting the estate on the market. I'm done. You're selling Ashford Manor? Yes. Grandmother wanted me to protect it, but she also wanted it to be a family home filled with love and respect. It's neither of those things anymore. It's a stage where Heather performs wealth she doesn't have. I'm done enabling that. Mom started to say something, then stopped. Can I ask you one thing? What? Why did you never tell anyone you owned it? Because I thought it didn't matter. I thought Heather would just be grateful for a beautiful place to live. I didn't realize she'd turn it into a social performance and teach her children that I'm beneath them. After we hung up, I drove to Ashford Manor. It was 9 a.m. on a Saturday. Heather's car was in the circular driveway. I used my key, I kept a set, and walked into the entrance hall. Heather was in the morning room, still in her bathrobe, looking like she hadn't slept. Diana, we need to talk. You have 28 days left. Please, I'll apologize. I'll make Oliver apologize. I'll tell everyone that the estate is yours. I'll do whatever you want. Just please don't make me leave. 4 years ago, I gave you an incredible gift. A mansion, 40 acres. No rent, no strings. And you turned it into a performance. You convinced everyone it was yours. You hosted parties and played Lady of the Manor. And when I showed up to a family dinner at my own house, your son rang a bell at me like I was the help. I never told him to do that. You taught him that servants must come when called. He said so. You taught your child that some people are servants and some people are masters, in my house. I was trying to teach him about formal household management, how things were done historically, by treating me like a servant. Heather looked at her hands. I didn't mean for it to go that far. Your text said learn respect. I'm sorry. Not that was wrong. You told me to learn respect after your son rang a bell at me. I was angry that you left. You embarrassed me in front of our guests. I embarrassed you. Your son rang the servant bell at me and announced the rules for how servants should behave, and I embarrassed you. She didn't answer. I've spent 4 years letting you live in my grandmother's house. I've paid 6 figures annually in property taxes and maintenance. I've never asked for anything in return, and the one time I attend a dinner party at my own estate, I get treated like staff. What do you want from me? What can I do to fix this? Move out, find your own place, build your own life. Stop pretending to be someone you're not. Diana, please. Oliver's school is here. My entire social circle is here. The charity board thinks I'm hosting the spring gala at the manor. I can't just. You have 28 days. I walked out before she could say anything else. Over the next week, the family pressure came in waves. Uncle Marcus called, telling me I was being unreasonable and vindictive. Cousin Jennifer sent a long email about how Heather had made mistakes, but meant well. Even my mother called again, asking me to reconsider for Oliver's sake. I didn't respond to any of them. On day 12, Heather sent me photos, Oliver holding the handwritten apology letter, and Heather standing in the doorway of Ashford Manor, crying. I deleted them without responding. On day 23, my attorney called. Heather's lawyer contacted me. They're asking for a 90-day extension. She needs more time to find a place. No extensions. Diana, she has a child. The schools. She has 7 days left. If she's not out by day 30, we proceed with formal eviction through the courts. No extensions. On day 29, a moving truck appeared at Ashford Manor. On day 30, Heather was gone. I drove to the estate that evening. The house was empty. The furniture remained. It had all belonged to my grandmother, but Heather's personal belongings were gone. I walked through the rooms, remembering Sunday dinners with grandmother, the way she taught me about the history of each piece of furniture, the gardens she'd maintained, the library where she'd read to me as a child. This house had been filled with love once. It had been a family home. But Heather had turned it into a stage, a performance space, a place where 12-year-olds learned to ring bells at their aunts. I called a real estate agent the next morning. I want to list Ashford Manor, 40 acres, historic estate, $8.5 million. The listing went live 3 days later. My mother called, crying, "You're really selling it? Grandmother's house." Grandmother wanted it to be a place of love and respect. It's not that anymore. Maybe the next family will make it that again. What will you do with the money? I don't need the money, Mom. I'll donate most of it. Children's charities, probably. Kids who need to learn that kindness matters more than silver bells and servants. The estate sold in 6 weeks to a tech CEO and his wife, who fell in love with the gardens and the library. They had 3 young daughters who wanted to learn to ride horses on the property. I signed the papers and never looked back. Some houses are built with bricks and mortar. Some are built with love and respect. And some are just stages where people perform wealth they never earned. I'm glad I finally knew the difference. And I'm glad Oliver learned, at 12, that servants don't come when you ring a bell. Sometimes they just leave. And sometimes they take the whole house with them.